In this video, I'm going to talk about JMRI's web server. I'm not going to show any trains or my layout, but I'm real curious when it comes to technology and model railroading, having spent most of my career in technology. So I decided I needed to figure this out. I've used the MRC Wi-Fi function and Y-throttle on my layout in the past, but I was really just curious about what is web services and how does it work, and are there any advantages to that? I also wanted a bigger presentation of my layout with the turnouts, make it easier to change the turnouts. So that's why I started looking at this JMRI web server. I will have to say though, for actually running trains, I would prefer the Y throttle functions, either on the, but mostly on an iPad. You know, an iPhone I find is awful small to try and do things. But I'll show you pictures of the web throttle, JMR web throttle on an iPhone, but primarily this video is about using the iPad. The screen capture off my iPhone. These are 4 windows I had open, and once you focus on one of them, like this is the roster, they're pretty small. You can use it, but it's not as nice as an iPad. This is the turnout table. And this is the main table where you can pick turnouts or routes or whatnot, but I prefer the iPad. Welcome, Model Railroad fans. In this video, I'm going to talk about JMRI's web server. And you could use that on your any kind of computer. I'm using a Windows 10 computer on my local Wi-Fi network. And the advantage of using this, there's a few. It's not easy to use, but there's a few, which I'll talk about as we go forward. At the end of the video, I'll talk about how to set up your Windows computer for using the web services. So in JMRI, you can start the web services in the preferences, or you can do it from the tools menu. So this is what the web services looks like when you open it up. And up here at the top, to get this open, you put in your computer's local IP address followed by your port number. And the port number is 12080. And I'll talk about that at the end of the video too. But this is the main screen. It opens. You get a menu system up here called Panels, Roster, Operations, and Tables. And let's just look at the roster first. So I'd like to go down here and hit this button over here. And what it's going to do there is open up 5 of your locomotives, your function keys, and then a list of all your locomotives in your roster. And if you see the word single there, that means if you touch that, it opens that up individually. Now I don't have my function keys defined on this because I just dummied up this roster and put in just the minimum information on most of these. But if you hit multiple, then you can touch this heading on top of here and then pick the locomotive you want. So we can just change that one. I didn't hit it right, but you get the idea. Let's change this one down here. Let's do this one. Is he on here? Yeah, he's already on there, so it won't let you pick one that's not on there. Let's see, what do we have? What's not on here? Okay, we got 1446, 27, Alaska. Oh, how about the Walters guy? Where's he at? He's 5602. I don't see him, so let's do that. 5602. So there you see he changed to the 5602. Anyway, don't worry about the fact these don't have labels. That's just me just being setting this up real quick. So some of the things on this screen is there's little help menus here with the question mark. And these pop up. The problem with them is they overlay each other. Okay, so there might be more help than this. And then you touch them again to get rid of them. So that's kind of simple. If you want to close one of these altogether, you hold that X button down for a couple of seconds. This red O controls your track power on or off, and you can set that in your preferences whether or not you want the user. Sorry about that. Get a stupid pop-up. So that's kind of about all there is. Here's this on this side is your reverse and forward, and then over here using your finger you can control the speed. That's how you control your throttle. Here's your stop. You know, if you want to if you're up running fast and you want to stop it quick, you just push the stop button there. I guess this gives you a bigger font. I haven't tried that one yet. Okay, a little smaller font. So not big changes, but I guess that helps a little bit. So anyway, that's how you control your throttles. And so you get up to 5. Now let's close that. And what I originally wanted to do on this was control my turnouts. So instead of using my handheld throttle and then picking the accessory number and putting it in and all that stuff, I wanted to do that differently. So this shows a default is my layout, but my new layout is called West Side. So I can touch that, or up here under panels, I can do I can pick West Side here. It's the same thing. So I just made this panel, and you scroll up, you still get the headings, but under preferences, if you don't want those, you can take off that fixed position. So if you scroll up, you don't see those, and mine still does it because I don't have a lot of size on this thing. And at some point I'll put on the newer side of the layout, what I call the east side. So this just allows you to touch them, and then they would change. So you get your visual map, and then you can tell the location of your turnouts. Another thing you can do is, let me just back up here. So let's go back to this open now. So you notice in the middle, if you don't want to come off this page, you can hit turnouts. So these will list the turnouts that are defined in your turnout table, and then you can just touch this and open and close them like that. Okay, that's, oops, let me close that. Okay, so let me go back over here. Okay, I'll go here. Let me open this. Okay, and then let's bring up the roster, all entries in my roster. So that just shows you individually the items on your roster. So if you just click that button and say web throttle, it'll open that. And so you can run that one, or you can go back here to this thing to do them all. Now, if you don't want all these open, maybe you just want a couple of them open, you just hold that X down and it gets rid of that. So maybe you only want a couple open. You can do it like that. It's kind of similar to Y throttle on my Apple phone. So that's basically what you can do with web services. And you could, if you have multiple panels, you could switch between them. You can do some work with operations, but I don't define anything in JMRI yet for that. Here's all your different tables, and in this particular test version, I only have a few turnouts defined. So that's kind of a quick and dirty on how web services work. And now I'll just show you briefly how I set up my Windows computer to work with this. To set up your Windows computer, you're going to need to know the IP address of the local computer. So go to Status and then Properties, and then look at the IPv4 address. That may change from one time to the other, so you got to make sure you look at it periodically. You also have to turn on Network Discovery and Allow Sharing Settings menu screen. Use a Sprague 3 to connect my PC to my layout. I also use an Arduino with DCC++EX. Does the same thing, only I can use sensors. I can incorporate sensors into my JMRI software. So in conclusion, is this worth using? I'm not really sure yet. It might sound strange, but there's a lot of advantages to sitting in front of your computer, just clicking your mouse to run the turnouts, run your locomotives. But it doesn't allow you to walk around the layout using, my Windows 10 computer. So that's why I'd like to use the Y throttle, but then I'm not real happy with the way Y throttle addresses the turnouts. They're not easy to understand, so I keep messing with it and update you guys as I may conclude what I really want to do. Thanks for watching.